This is Andy Tube. In this video I'm going to show you where and where not to lubricate and oil a Singer Model 513 sewing machine. These are the lubricants that I recommend. This is Tri-Flow Superior Lubricant. This is the oil. It's PTFE, like a Teflon. And this is Tri-Flow Clear Synthetic Grease. If you don't, and these are available, hardware stores, some big box hardware stores carry them. Almost any bicycle repair shop will carry them. eBay has them. I usually buy mine on eBay, whoever's got the best price. And you can get smaller containers of these. If you don't want to use Tri-Flow, that's fine, but please just use Singer lubricant and Singer sewing machine oil, because they are formulated for sewing machines. I think this is just better quality and lasts longer, but the Singer products are fine, and you can buy them at like Joann's and Walmart, and they come in little 2-ounce 3-ounce bottles, very affordable. Don't use household lubricant or all-purpose lube or 3-in-1 oil or any of those, because they have additives that will just cause problems down the road when they dry up and get sticky and cause varnishing and things like that. So my recommendation is to just use the Tri-Flow products or the Singer products. There's one place on the 513 that needs grease, and it's the only place, and it's up top here. And this would be like a once-a-year deal, unless you just really are sewing like crazy. So let me manipulate this around a little bit here and try and give you a shot of it. I can lift one of these lights. What I'm talking about, and you can remove this, it's just this big screw right here. And I think I made a video about putting it back on, so to take it off, just do it in reverse, But down here on the main horizontal shaft is a worm gear that mates with the gear on the bottom of the cam stack. And that is the only place you put grease on this machine. And like I said, about once a year we'll do it. Let's see if I can get a little closer. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Yeah, there we go. So you can see here this worm gear. And the cam stack gear is at the bottom of that black cam. Okay, and the way that I lubricate that is, I take an inexpensive artist brush, a stiff short bristle, and I take tiny amounts of this clear synthetic grease, and I put it a little bit at a time onto, let me back out a little bit here, onto the end of the brush. And to do the whole machine, except for right after you clean it, I use a little bit more, but on an annual basis I'd use maybe 2 of these. And you just go in from the side of this, or you can also access it between the 2 wheels up here. There's a way to get in there, but basically you're going to just paint that on the worm gear in there. So you just go in like that and just brush it across the top of the worm gear to get it into the grooves. See? and then run your machine or turn the hand wheel back out here. Turn the hand wheel to distribute it. And this, see this tongue that sticks out there, you have that go around one complete turn, which will take several turns of the hand wheel to do that. You know, I've turned it about 10 times and it's only gone about a quarter of the way or less. I don't know if you can see that tongue coming around here slowly but surely. Yeah, because that'll give you a complete revolution of the cam stack gear. Okay, so then I would put another little dab on the paintbrush, and I would go in there and just brush it along that worm gear, and then do a full rotation again, or slowly run the machine with the electric motor. Okay, and then so that's the left-handed here, not too good for me. That's the worm gears right there. I just kind of brush it along there, and like I said, let me try and go in from this other side, because you can access it from the other side and get the brush in there, and you know, put a little grease on there. Now if you happen to get grease, which is very, very easy to do on anything but the worm gear, if you get it on the shaft or something like that, then just take a cotton swab, you know, and go in there and wipe it off of the shaft or the side of the cam stack, because if it's not on the gear, it's just going to collect dust and dirt. Okay, so that is where you put the grease up there. Let me close that up and put it away, and get this back around here where we can get a good view of it here, hopefully. Back out a little. Okay, now for our oil, and that's one of the reasons I like this Tri-Flow, and you can get, you know, different dispensers too for your sewing machine oil, but this has a little tube that just goes into the applicator up there, and it's really easy to bend the tube and, you know, tilt the bottle and control how many drops go in there, because you don't need a lot. And the same thing, if where I'm showing you to put oil, if you get oil around it in other places, just wipe it up with a rag or a cotton, you know, like a Q-tip. So let's come over here, up here, and this is the opening down to the bearing for the horizontal arm shaft, and we like to keep that bearing bathed in oil. So this place, you know, like once a year I might put 2 or 3 drops of oil in, just because it you know, you want that bearing to be nice and oily, because it just turns millions of times a year. This is an opening for the screw for the cover. Don't put any oil in there, only in the opening for the bearing. Okay, and then as we come across here, the opening up here at the top of the cam stack, put a drop of oil in there. Okay, and then on this little see if I can zoom in a little more. On this little pivot pin right here, put a drop of oil. And to me it's optional. If you want to put a drop there, okay, but definitely get this pivot pin right here. Just a drop, once a year. And then the next is going to be on this, let's zoom in here, is on this hinge screw right here. Just kind of on the edge of it, or the side, so that the oil will seep around under that hinge screw. Okay? Then when we come over here at the hand wheel end, not here and not here, but right down next to that spring, you'll see the opening for the back bearing here. So you want a drop of oil, or 2 or 3, because it's a bearing. I cheat and give it 2 or 3. Okay, and then there's one more place up top here. If you push the reverse button, you'll see that this bracket kind of hinges around that arm shaft. So I go right in here, just follow that spring down and you'll see the reverse bracket hinge, and put a drop of oil down in there. Okay, you can kind of see the top of that shaft right there. So just right in there, and just a drop of oil. Okay, and under the covers like this, top and bottom, once a year should do you. If you're using the machine commercially and just sewing for hours every day, then I would do it more often. So let's be sure I covered everything up here. Yes, I did. Okay, so let me rearrange this, and I'll show you up in the needle bar area where you are going to need to put oil. Okay, so this you could do a little more often. You take one screw out and you take the nose plate off, and on the thread take-up lever there's a hinge screw. You can tell because it's got a place to put a screwdriver, and it's metal to metal. So that hinge screw, yeah, right there, put a drop of oil on the top of that screw and let it seep around there. Okay, now don't put oil on the take-up lever link, which is this plastic. Don't put oil on either end of that. No oil on plastic. So you don't need oil like the old machines, metal to metal. Yes, you would put oil here, and you would put oil up here on the hinge screw, and you put here on the link. But since this is a nylon plastic, you don't need to put any oil on there, and you don't want to put oil on there. Okay, so only on the bottom, the hinge screw. And like I said, you know it's a screw because there's a place to put a screwdriver, and it's it's connecting a metal link to a metal link, so that's where you put it. Okay, and then the rest is real easy. You come over here on the top side of the needle bar, above the bushing that the needle bar travels through. See that needle bar? It's going to go through there. So you put a drop of oil here, and a drop of oil above the bottom bushing. Whoop, whoop. A drop of oil above the bottom. Whoop, not there. That's the connecting stud. That doesn't move. So down here on the bushing, a drop and a drop up here. And then you have one more drop where the presser bar goes through the bushing down here. No oil up here or anything up here, just where it goes through the bushing, right there. And then you can run the machine or exercise the lever a little bit, and you don't want a lot of oil dripping off or left over. That's usually why they say a drop. So if you get a bunch of extra oil down here, go ahead and clean it off. with a rag or Q-tips. Okay, and then try and zoom in a little bit here. You can oil the needle bar and lifter anytime you want, as far as I'm concerned. Just wipe up any excess oil. And then once a year, I do put a drop of oil on these pivot points, which is on this end of the, remember the swing needle mechanism there? Okay, see that? So I put a small drop of oil right there, and you see this little tension spring. I put a drop of oil on the bottom of the spring where it meets the little connector here. Okay, just a drop once a year, just to keep that swinging real pretty. And like I said, you can run your machine and spread the oil around, and then anything excess, just wipe it up. Okay, so we've done the behind the nose plate or face plate. So there's one other place here on the bed before we go to the bottom, and that is right in the center of the bottom of the hook. And you have your bobbin out, so you see this. Whoop, so you see this is your bobbin case, the Apollo bobbin case. But right in the center, you see that hole right there, the hole in the bottom of the hook. It's just above the shaft, so you put a drop of oil in here. A drop of oil. Right there. About once a year should do it. And you know, in the older machines that had metal bobbin cases, they would tell you to put a drop of oil on the race right there. Don't do that with the Apollo. It doesn't need it. It's plastic. No oil on plastic. Okay, so let me flip this over to get a good angle on the bottom, and I'll show you what we need to oil down there. Okay, it's a little bit crooked, but it's stable. So let me show you where to put some oil down here. Okay, and we'll start over here on the hook end, and I'll just zoom into a couple of spots right here. See this pivot right here? You'll see that there's a that's the bottom of the shaft that goes up to the feed dog and the rocker. And this black part down here is actually part of how it does the reverse now. So you need a drop of oil right there, and believe me, one drop is plenty. And run the machine or let it soak in a little bit, and then wipe off the excess. Okay, and then at the bottom there's a hinge screw right here, and you put a drop of oil right there on the seam where the hinge screw is going into the arm. You put a drop of oil right there, turn the hand wheel or run the motor, and you know, let the oil get in there, and then wipe off any excess. Okay, now see if I'm going to be able to show you up here. Yeah, right here between the rocker arm shaft. See how that kind of concentric, see how that goes up and down right there? So put a nice drop of oil right in here. Okay, so that will lubricate everything in this area, and if you get metal on metal, it'll keep you well protected. Okay, and then back here you'll see a kind of like a bearing here, and this is for the other shaft that does the lifting for the feed dogs and stuff. You see that kind of a, can we get in there any closer? Okay, that's about it. So when you see this, we'll be rocking back and forth. Where we want a drop of oil up here is right there. Okay. And then when we come over here, you have this right side of the rocking. I'm already zooming. This is the other end of this shaft, right? So you did this, and you did the little hinge screw, and then you're going to come over here, and right on this, you'll see like a circlip, a tension clip that holds that on, and just put a drop right there. Okay. Put it right, put a drop right in there. I usually put a drop there and just a drop on the clip, and then let it soak in or run it in, and then I take my rag and wipe off the excess. Okay, and we're done. So we have, back out a little bit here, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and we're done. Now you may have noticed I didn't say anything about the gears here between the rocking shaft and the hook shaft, and I didn't say anything here about the gear at the end of the hook shaft and the gear at the bottom of the hook itself. These 90-degree set that you know, those all run the hook, and this one transfers power up from that hook shaft, hook arm shaft, up to the gear here to turn the rock. And I didn't say anything about them because you don't do anything with them. They're nylon plastic. If you oil them or grease them, you're doing harm. So no oil or grease on plastic gears. And people are so used, I can't tell you how many of these gears rotted away and cracked and stuff because previous owners of earlier models always had to grease those gears. So they come in here and they put grease on it, and they put grease on it, and the petroleum products in the grease reacted with some polymer or something in the nylon and made them brittle and yellow and crack or break. So please don't do that. There's no need for it. It won't enhance performance. It won't make the machine run any quieter. It will just give you a problem. Okay, I think we're done. So that wasn't too bad. So under here and up at the, let's get up here, back up at the top, you can just do that once a year. So you take off a screw down here, and you take off the two arm cover screws up at the top, and patiently and carefully put a little grease on the worm gear, and put your oil on the bearings and the little contact screws and swivel pin. Take your time, clean up the excess, and at least once a year, but more often if you like, do the top bearing and bottom bearing on the needle bar, the bearing on the pressure bar, the metal to metal hinge screw area of the take-up lever, and I do once a year put a drop of oil on the swivel points of the swing bar, there and there. So, if you only have one or two machines, you can, like I said, you can buy smaller size containers. This is a 3-ounce thing of grease. I think it costs $10 or something, and even with all the machines I use, this is going on 3 years old. So I think they sell like a little 1/2-ounce sizes for $3 or something, and that may be plenty to do a couple machines for a number of years. And the oil, this is a 6-ounce bottle, and they sell it in a 2-ounce. And somebody told me they sell it in these little, like, break open tiny tab. You twist open the top, and for the bicyclers to carry in their pack so they can like oil their chain. And that's why I like these products, because they stick to the metal real well. They're water resistant, and they stay on the metal. They don't get thrown off as much. So that seems to be what all the professionals recommended to me over the years, and I found them to be quite good. They don't cost that much more. So, but again, if you don't want to use Trifo, fine, but please use the Singer oil and the Singer, kind of like white lubricant or motor lubricant. Okay, the Singer products are very inexpensive. Or I suppose at Joann and place there might be other kinds of sewing machine oil. So if you don't find the Singer, just get a sewing machine oil. Don't get any kind of oil with additives other than the PTFE. But no 3-in-1 and no WD-40's not an oil, not those kind of sprays and stuff. Just buy a little bottle of sewing machine oil. I think Lily White is a good brand too. They use a lot in commercial. Okay, that's it. That's where and where not to lube and oil a Singer Model 513. No oil or grease on plastic. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you will come back and visit me. Any comment, any question, subscribe if you want to. It's up to you, and take care.